parallel line theory. Now this was something I had read in a book. I think it's called The 1% Rule. It was by Tommy Baker, and in the book he explains this theory that we all are running on our own line. Now if you imagine a notebook that has loads of parallel lines from top to bottom, if you imagine if you took those lines off the edge of the page and they went across the room, maybe out the front door, up the street, out your county, across the country or whatever, but it just went off into infinity, because those lines are parallel, they are never ever going to meet. No matter how far off in the distance they go, they're never going to converge at some point. And that's what Tommy said in that book. If you imagine you are one of those lines. Now, wherever you are, whatever experience you have, whatever results you're getting, I'm sure there may be people who might be below you who are running on their own lines. But there are people maybe that you want to inspire to maybe to copy, to get results like they're getting, and they are maybe going to be on a different line than you are. Now if you can imagine, if you get up today and you carry out the same actions you've always been doing, you are going to constantly run along that line that you're on. Now you may dream of getting to the other line, of being up there where that other person is, but if you carry along the actions you're doing every day, your line is going to go off to infinity, but it's never ever going to narrow that gap between where you are to where you want to be. And that's something I want you to think about today. Maybe you may dream of being a better writer or a better blogger or having a huge audience or a following or whatever, but if you continue just like that line, doing the exact same things you're doing every day, how can you ever expect your line to meet up with that other line? Because as I said, it is just going to simply go off into infinity, and it's never going to narrow that gap. So it's up to you to jump from where you are up to the next line above you. Now, I'm not saying that you should, drastically overnight change all the actions that you put into place, because as you're probably well aware, somebody who takes on, a dieting regime or an exercise regime, if you throw them in cold turkey and get them to do the most things ever, like exercising maybe 4 hours a day or completely changing their diet overnight, it's a huge shock to them and their body, and it's something that they probably won't keep up to for very long. So you need to make small changes in that direction. So think about it today, rather than you doing something drastic to get up to that other line, what is a small change you can make in the way you're traveling so that you are slowly lifting your line up towards that line, and eventually at some point they will cross, and then you will be carrying along at a better place than where you are right now. Maybe again, it could be that writer that you want to be, that blogger that you want to be, the YouTuber or whatever it is. But if there's a target that you need to hit, keep in mind, if you keep doing the same actions you're doing today, do it tomorrow, do it the next day, and there isn't any change at all, how can you really expect to get from the line that you're on up to that line where that other person is? So have a look at changing maybe your routine today. Is there something you could do maybe first thing in the morning every day that will kind of push you towards that? Maybe it could be sitting down writing your first page of fiction, maybe it could be reading a business book or a self-development book, or something like that is going to slowly change you over time, and it's going to lift up the angle of where your line is going to end up, so that you will cross the other one. Because if you don't make any changes at all, as Tommy says, that gap is always going to be there. It'll be there today, it'll be there tomorrow, that gap will be there next week, 10 years from now that gap will always be there. And if you think that you can jump from where you are up to that other line without making any changes at all, you're sadly mistaken and you're deluding yourself. It's never going to happen. So think about that today. Is there any changes you can make? Because if you don't make any changes and you follow the same daily routine that you've been following day after day, week after week, month after month, that gap is never going to close, and you're never going to get to that point where you want to be. So I hope you learned something in this video, but go take action, and I don't want to fill your head full of all these stories and tips and tricks and not have you take any action on them. Go ahead and try something new today. So as always, if you'd like to know more about these videos, or you'd like to know more about where I hang out, you're very welcome to do a search for Writecom. That's WRITECOME.com. And if you go over to the Writecom site at the moment, we have a great free report that is going to show you how to go from words to wealth. So if you are someone who would like to get into writing fiction, or you'd like to have some way of making money from home right now, head on over there, download the free report, and I'm going to give you 10 ways that you can make money from your keyboard. Now, before you think that you need to be a great writer, I'm here to tell you you're not, because I wouldn't consider myself a great writer. But if you head on over there, download the free report, I'm going to show you a couple of easy ways you can make money from home with your keyboard. So as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. Take care, have a great day, bye bye.